All right, let's get to getting.
I'd say I gotta be at work at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. 5.
Okay, so we'll get to getting real quickly. I'm glad we consolidated what was on the dock then, because it was a lot. All right.
I just figure with the timing too, it's just like, yeah, let's just get into it.
Yeah. All right. I hope it doesn't feel too much like it, but like pretty much everything I will be saying is a lot more scripted than usual because brain fog. I was trapped in a plague house for a week because a friend of mine went to a Friendsgiving and brought home COVID, and I happened to be like hanging out with his wife for a couple of days. So he passed it to his spouse, and then his spouse passed it to me. And I'm over all of the symptoms now, but the brain fog and the just being extremely tired, still not over that. So.
I'd say I'm ready, and I don't have a ton of big thoughts this week other than, a couple of the games I caught. So yeah, don't worry.
So maybe we're both a little bit stupid this week. We put it off long enough that I was like, we gotta get back on the road here.
Yes.
So if you have ever been inclined to donate to the Patreon of a upstart podcast, please consider us. Things are bad, especially for me. Anyway, so let's talk about the games.
And not the Rona. Which, speaking of coronavirus, that's about the last time Phillip Rivers played.
Excellent segue. That's kind of the only, current news that's worth talking about, other than the Chiefs got eliminated from playoff consideration.
Actually, I have a sad update for that.
Oh, no.
Mahomes tore his ACL, so that part actually sucks.
Oh, that's bad.
As someone put it on Twitter, I want his soul to be hurting, not his body.
Yes, yeah, I dislike the Chiefs, but I don't dislike Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? I don't wish injuries on anyone.
Yeah, I would say even if a player I didn't like them, it just seems distasteful to hope for injuries. And plus, that's the thing too. If you are knocking the Chiefs out of the playoffs, you want to knock Mahomes and the Chiefs out of the playoffs. It doesn't change anything as far as, the fact that what happened and that, with Mahomes, they were behind going into that last drive. But, as a Pacers fan and Halliburton tearing his Achilles in Game 7, it's all credit to the Thunder for winning, but it's, you want to beat teams when they're healthy. You don't want to... You take the wins when they come, but you don't ever want to have a caveat to it.
Do you mean caveat?
Caveat, yes.
This is my favorite recurring bit, is that you don't know words.
I will out Southern you, or out country you.
Well, quite literally.
This is basically the first time in a decade that the Chiefs have not been a factor in the playoffs. And
I think I saw it was 11 years.
Yeah, I'd have to double check to get it 100% right, but it's the Mahomes era, and this is the first time they're not in it, and they may not have made it with Mahomes, but yeah, it sucks it happened this way. But at the same time, this Chiefs team was flawed, and I don't think they were going to make a run to the Super Bowl. I think just it's very hard to keep a championship level team together, especially in the way that the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, and all that is constructed. It's just very hard to keep these teams together because you have to pay everybody. That's what the Eagles are dealing with a little bit too. And plus, just guys get old and retire. Kelsey's gone. Lane Johnson's hurt. He could be gone. If he decides to hang it up after this year. And I think that's just the thing coming back to the Chiefs. It's this is not the best version of the Chiefs, but I think for a lot of fans, there's a good bit of satisfaction that they're just gone one way or the other.
Yeah. And part of it is just I'm kind of sick of hearing about the Chiefs, so can someone else have a turn?
What I think
But yeah,
too,
no, like I didn't want it to be because Patrick Mahomes got hurt real bad. And like I saw the clip. I saw his knee bend in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and it's so hard to judge on those because sometimes you see something and the guy's like, "Yeah, I'll be back in a week," and then there's something like this where the only reason I assumed it was bad was mainly because he stayed down. Like, I just think if it's just pain, essentially, or even injury, but not, or just hurting or whatever, I think he probably finds a way to keep going. But yeah, if he he tore his ACL in that moment. Yeah, I think that's understandable. He did not try to get back in the game immediately.
Yeah, no. And I hope it's not like a career ender. Like, I don't want to see that happen.
No, I think he'll be back, and he uses his athleticism, but I'll be curious to see exactly how this translates to how his play goes, because what he's generally done well is, I mean, I guess it's the thing is, even though he's not really a running quarterback, he's very good at just moving around, making those passes, and playing when things don't go as planned. And I think that will be the hard thing for anybody coming back from an injury is if you don't have that athleticism, how do you make up for the fact that part of your game was being able to create in the chaos when you kind of need that athleticism to do the chaos.
Yeah. So speaking of things bending in ways they shouldn't, Jaden Daniels got like a little bit hurt again. So he played one game and then got a little bit hurt again, and so Marcus Mariota took over again for today when the Commanders won over the Giants today as like an apology for their last two games, because the one before today was just embarrassing. They were completely shut out. I forget what it was, but they scored nothing. And then we talked about this after it happened, not the previous game, but the one before that, when they went into overtime, and I got real mad because they lost, and it was like really anticlimactic. So I was mad not only that my team lost, but like that they lost. So like I was narratively disappointed because I just feel like overtime shouldn't end that like abruptly or that like anticlimactically. I feel like you should have to actually have to achieve something and not just prevent someone else from achieving something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in both those overtime games, yeah, it was. I can understand like just feeling like it was less of the other team winning and more of the Commanders not doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's always more frustrating as a fan because it really comes back to the same idea with Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's like you want to do it on your own accord. You don't want it to be, we won because the other team screwed up, which let's localize this real quick. Did you see the terrible way that Martinsburg lost the state championship game?
I think my mom was talking about that. Like, the kid just, like, forgot what he was doing or something.
Yeah, the other team won, but, like, I felt bad for the other team, too, in the sense of the Martinsburg quarterback just lost track of downs and spiked it on fourth, and the game was over, or, the game was effectively over. And I mean, because, like, no one wants to, like, celebrate 20 years from now and be like, yeah, that final play where the guy forgot what down it was because it happens sometimes. But, yeah, I mean, just getting back to this, it's just, I can understand.
Like, she told me that story, and I had flashbacks to, like, when I played basketball, my greatest fear was that I would try to score at the wrong end of the court.
It happens. I mean, and that's the thing, too, is, like, I don't even judge
Luckily,
people.
It never happened. Probably because I was so afraid of it. I didn't take nearly as many chances as I probably should have. Like, I don't know. I was not a good basketball player, but thinking back on it, I think I was better than I thought I was, which is the case in most things in my life. There's a lot of self-sabotage in Mary's life.
And now our segment, then and Mary work through her various neurotices. But
I mean, this is a podcast. Frequently occurs on most podcasts. I have listened to a lot of people work through things when they were supposed to be talking about sports or music or movies or something. Don't think that we're gonna be spared from that. We're gonna learn some Ben lore here too.
I would just say that in a good way, hopefully you, like the Commanders, got a little bit of momentum rolling here, because I think that's the thing. At 4-10, obviously the season's over, all that, but I think the best thing for teams is trying just to get things going the right way, because last year the Bears did a little bit of that down the stretch, and even though they had the coaching change and a bunch of other things, I think just building up a little bit of, you know, self-assurance in something, like, I think that matters, because I mean, I think even for these, you know, top level athletes, it's just easier when you know you've been there before, you've done there before. If you're finally getting out of that tailspin of we always lose, I think it's just a little bit easier psychologically to be like, yeah, you know, let's just, you know, take care of business here and get it done, instead of being like, we've seen this a million times, we know how it ends, and we have no agency over our own demise.
And just to clarify, you're saying it was the Commanders that are 4 and whatever and are done?
Yeah, I'll double check that, but yeah, they're 4-10 according to Google right now,
which is not good. It's not a good record.
I mean, I think for Washington, it was just they made the wrong bets, mixed with they had some bad luck with injuries and things like that. Like Jane Daniels was going to go down from last year, but he's a better quarterback than whatever we saw this year, not to mention the injuries.
Today my mom was invoking some previous disappointing quarterbacks. It's like she brought up the name Heath Schuler.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't remember much about him other than you hated him a lot.
Sounds about right.
All right, so the team of mine that is much less disappointing this season, the Ravens, also won today over the Bengals 24-0. Which, here's another one where I'm like, I'm glad my team won, but also I feel real bad for Joe Burrow. He was taking full responsibility for their performance today and like was taking it very personally, and I'm like, baby, you do not score 0 because of one guy, even if that guy is your quarterback.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think it's just one of those,
that was a team effort to lose that spectacularly.
and I never want to dismiss what another team does, but I just think if you play this game again and the Bengals are going to score a few times, like, I just think it was I think it's just one of those things where just things keep going wrong. The other team keeps doing things perfectly. Like, even on one of the pick six returns, I forget who pitched it to who, but the Ravens, whoever intercepted it pitched it off to a faster player, because it's like, I can't run that far that fast. You finished the job. And I mean, like, when that's happening and you can't get anything going offensively, it's just, I mean, I just think there's no excuses for any team or anybody, but there are just situations where nothing goes right. Like, everything that could go wrong, you could play this game again and Ravens might even probably still win, but I don't think it plays out in a shutout with, this offense that the Bengals have, because Burrow seems fine at this point, other than obviously everything going to hell today.
He just had a bad day.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it can be so unsatisfying sometimes as a sports fan when that feels like it's the case, but it's just sometimes, like and obviously the Ravens did things to influence that and all that, but I just think it's always like, Stan Van Gundy, he was a coach, or a former NBA coach. He always said, write the story while the ball is in the air, which his point was more of, was it a good idea or a bad idea? Essentially, whatever action, like if you take a game winner or whatever, was it a good choice to take that shot? And I think that's the thing is, if the Bengals do this again, like, yeah, I think process-wise, they're going to get a point on the board at least. But credit to the Ravens for maybe getting things together late in the year. The AFC North is there for the taking.
Yeah.
I mean, I think going back to one of the things we talked about earlier in the year, it has just been a weird year that no one feels that dominant. Like we mentioned, or we're going to mention the Rams, I believe, here in a second. But
yeah,
I mean, like, there's no team I put all my faith in, and then you have teams like the Colts that looked really good, and I'm going to give Daniel Jones a lot of credit for what he did this year, despite all my doubting. But then for the Colts, their season could be going down the drain because they got their quarterback got injured, their backup quarterback got injured, their third string rookie quarterback got injured, but also they were just wanted to give Philip Rivers a shot because they thought it'd be a better idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so let's go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and I think too, just with football injury. I mean, every sport has injuries, but it's so hard to get through a year and not just have that be the problem. And there's probably things the Colts or other teams could have done to maybe kept their quarterback healthier or whatever. But at the same time, it's just a challenge to keep your linemen, everybody healthy. I mean, that's the story so many times is who's healthy this late in the year, or who's maybe not even healthy, but who can play through whatever injuries they have more than not.
Yeah. So, speaking of Philip Rivers, I was not familiar with him before he came back this year, and everybody's really harping on the fact that he is a grandfather, but the man is 44 years old. That is very young to be a grandparent. So let's calm down on that aspect. Now, 44,
hold on,
quite old to be playing football.
Hold on, real quick, backtrack. Do you know how many kids Philip Rivers has?
10.
10. All right,
I was
making sure you're up to
heard
speed.
He was a grandfather, so I looked him up and I was like, "Did you have a kid at 15? What is going on?" And then it's he's devoutly Catholic, and I was like, "Okay, all my questions are answered."
Yeah, I'm about to say all love and everything there, but some things are explained with devoutly Catholic.
Yeah, he married his high school sweetheart, so they married real young. They had kids really young, so their kids are having kids pretty young too. It maths out, but it's just one of those things that's kind of weird to hear at first. But anyway, so what was his reputation before he retired?
Good. Great in the sense of within his era, you would probably take Philip Rivers out of, depending on the season, would be one of your top picks at quarterback. Never quite got over the hump, but as a fan of a team who never seemed to have a quarterback, I definitely would have taken Philip Rivers at any point. I think that's the thing is, football's a team sport.
Are we talking Hall of Fame material or just good?
Yeah, I would say good chance to make the Hall of Fame, which the irony is by playing today, he reset his eligibility clock another 5 years. Yeah, if he would have been...
So you're eligible for the Hall of Fame 5 years after you retire?
Yes, and so he was going to be on the... essentially be on the ballot for the upcoming class, but now he has that reset. So, but I think that actually makes me like him more because he's not that's not what kept him out of getting back into the NFL. He was just nope, I'll wait another 5 years.
I think that's cool. I saw his little press conference when he first signed, and he's super charming, and I'm I'm kind of rooting for this guy. I can't help but be a little bit on the side of the old guys, unless it's Aaron Rodgers.
and just to give you an idea,
so at 44, does that make Philip Rivers the oldest player in the NFL?
I think probably the oldest active player. I think Brady might have actually been older when he won a Super Bowl or whatever a few years ago. But yeah,
Okay.
and
I did mean like currently playing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because I looked up Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco. Aaron Rodgers is 42. Joe Flacco is 40.
Yeah. Oh, and just to give you an idea, 8-time Pro Bowl, led the league in yards in 2010, tied for the lead in touchdowns in 2008. I mean, just obviously high level passer and all that. So, but I mean, that's the thing is
and
44.
While the Colts. Sorry, we're talking over each other.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, but he's 44.
And while the Colts did lose, it was 18-16. And I think that's a pretty great showing for your first game back after 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Like, it wasn't a blowout or anything. Like,
I can't...
Like, I'm almost disappointed that wasn't the game I was watching at that time.
I think it's the thing where I don't know what you would expect any quarterback to do. Like, because, mind you, he did not have training camp. He, was busy being a grandfather / dad. Like, it's not like a Tom Brady situation where he's been playing and, he's in shape. He's been throwing the ball with the intention of playing NFL football regularly. 120 yards, yeah, it's not impressive, but he didn't die, and I'm curious if he ends the year with any sort of looks a little bit better, because I'm not going to judge him either way. He's being put into a pretty ridiculous situation, but I don't know what you could reasonably expect anybody to come into a game against one of the best pass rushing defenses in the league. It's going to be tough. The fact that he gave the Colts a chance, I think, is at least worth something, even if it's a low-scoring game. And I mean, and frankly, if the defense doesn't let the Seahawks charge down the field and kick a field goal, we'd be talking about Phillip Rivers wins his comeback game, and all that.
Yeah.
So nothing impressive, but it's one of those things. The fact that it happened, I think, is worth. I don't know if celebrating is the right word, but we were having a discussion in one of my chats the other day.
The Colts aren't out for the season now, right? So, like, there's still more for them.
Yeah, but say they still. I forget what the exact their exact road to the playoffs is, but yeah, if they could win out, I think they would be. But obviously, losing today making it a little bit harder. But I don't think they're out of the hunt entirely. So I mean, and it makes sense. I mean, I guess to me, it makes sense for what the Colts are trying to do, which is just, something this season. But I also, it's kind of weird that we've gotten to a point in the NFL where, like, it seems like there's such a short leash or non-existent leash on quarterbacks and quarterback development. Again, Anthony Richardson had a freak injury with I guess a training band hit him in the eye and broke his orbital bone or something like that. Like, just freak injury. Like, nothing says nothing about him or anything. Just complete bad luck. But the fact that they didn't even say, let's see what happens with our guy we drafted second or third day, and like the fact I forget, someone showed like the free agent pool of quarterbacks available, and it's bleak. Like, I get why they went with Phillip Rivers, but I also just think that teams aren't really doing anything to develop these guys, nor are they giving them much of a chance to. Like, I mean, like, the only reason we know Tyson Bagent is decent in the NFL is Caleb Williams got injured and the Bears had to play him. Like, if not, we would still be like mystery item,
Yeah, and that's another one. Like, I don't like that an injury had to happen, but I like seeing our boy play.
Well, that was the funny thing for me as a Bears fan, was it's kind of my problem of I want good things for him, but at the same time, it's probably bad for the Bears if he has an opportunity. But I'm very happy he signed his 2-year, I think, $10 million deal, because good for him, especially as a D2 player who didn't get really recruited out of high school. So I think he's pretty happy situationally with where things are. But if he ever gets the opportunity, obviously, go sling that thing.
Yeah, like yeah.
But to transition to my Bears, they.
I was just about to say, like, that transition took us to the Colts game and skipped the Bears, so let's backtrack to the Bears.
I was happy with them today. They should have beat the Browns, especially this version of the Bears we've seen this year that actually seems pretty good and doesn't seem to blow every game. The Browns have no real offense, so beating them I don't think was that like impressive per se, but putting up that many points, I believe 31 on that defense is actually pretty good because they're basically top 5, top 10 defense, the Cleveland Browns. And Myles Garrett was chasing around Caleb Williams a good bit a day and got closer to the sack record. I like Myles Garrett, but I was just hoping Caleb could keep running and not get mauled or anything. But yeah, I think it's meaningful for the Bears in the sense of so many times as a fan, I've looked at these games and it's like, well, who knows what disappointing thing will happen. And they went in there and they took care of business. And I think that sometimes when you're playing teams that you should beat, that's, and much less scoring, 31-3 or whatever, you took care of business. You actually looked pretty good against a good defense. It doesn't really change my opinion of the Bears, but at the same time, sometimes you've got to do the things that you're supposed to do on your way to doing things that maybe you're going to do to surprise people. And I think it's a good step for the Bears to go into a game that they should win, and it was never really questioned or not whether they were going to win today. So I was very happy about that as a fan. But I just also think we were talking about building momentum towards the end of the year, even if you're not going to make the playoffs. I just think, it's just confidence. If, you can always believe that, yeah, you're going to turn anything around or whatever. But what's better than that? Just things going right and you're doing things right. Like, I think that's just simply why I was happy with the Bears win and a little bit impressed, but I'm not going to pretend like I now suddenly think they're back to be the short-lived best team in the NFC as they were a week ago due to some standing shenaniganry.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Lions were playing the Rams, and that game was not quite over when we jumped on this call, but the Rams were kind of spanking the Lions at the time. And those are two teams that I'm pretty neutral on, both of them. But as far as I can remember this season, I've kind of enjoyed watching both of them.
Yeah, I think they're two different offenses and everything, but I think that there's just something there. I think it's just enjoyable to watch because you've got something with Detroit where whether it's just kind of the more grinding version of an offense and all that, or you have kind of more of the traditional gunslinging going on with Matt Stafford. But yeah, I think for both teams, they're just generally fun to watch, and it's fun to say the name Puka Nacua when Stafford finds him on the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the Rams, I guess, are my pick in the NFC right now. But I just don't trust any of these teams so much that it's not like a year ago when the playoffs, or even before the playoffs started, it's like it's going to be Philadelphia and the Chiefs, and well, lo and behold, it was. Whereas this year, I don't really do sports betting, but I would not be very confident betting on anybody at the moment to make the Super Bowl, just because nobody's looked like they have it.
It seems like it's kind of anybody's game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of going back to just a quick little thing with the Chiefs, like, I think it was a little bit more fun when the Chiefs were clearly dominant because they were at least the big bad. Whereas, like, the last year or two, they've been, well, this year they were bad, but, like, even last year, but they just, I think we want our teams like that to actually be dominating and not just, like, barely winning. I think that was what kind of fueled part of the conspiracies with the Chiefs getting calls, were they're winning these close games, but they don't feel like this dominant force. And getting back to the Rams, I don't think they're a dominant force, but I probably would not bet on my Bears to beat them. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, and then we already talked about the Chiefs and Chargers. So we can jump into the meteor stuff if you have nothing else to say regarding any specific games.
No,
all right,
I'm about to say.
So to balance out who's talking, we're gonna alternate between the things I learned and like the things I need Ben to explain. So Ben, speaking of college, or moving on to college football for a moment, can you explain what is going on with this bowl game situation and like the absolute drama that is happening?
I forgot to put the answer on our sheet, but quite simply, Notre Dame. The short answer is Notre Dame is whiny. The long answer is where the college football playoff is as big as it is, and where some of these teams get spurned, it does probably feel like a slap in the face to end up in any of these bowl games. And especially now, bowl games used to be a kind of a fun thing for players because you got like gift bags and like, you know, it was a trip somewhere and all that. I don't know. I've not really looked at the NIL numbers because I don't care, but most of these guys now make money. So the trip to any given city for a bowl game just doesn't have the same allure. So I think some of these players are also telling... Oh, go ahead.
My understanding was that like bowl games were kind of like a consolation prize. Like you didn't make the playoffs, but you get this trip, you get these gift bags, and it's like a chance for players who didn't get to play as much when it counted for them to get to play.
A little bit of that. And I
correct?
Yeah, and I think there's also the fact that ESPN and just the fans and everybody in general wanting more bowl games has kind of diluted what they're worth anyway. Because
it does seem there's like a million of them.
Just for an example in my head, when Marshall went into Division I AA again and all that, they played the fifth team in the SEC in the Motor City Bowl. Like, even though like the Motor City Bowl wasn't a big bowl or anything, like you had two teams, like you had a top ranked team versus one of the a winning team from one of the better conferences. Now, basically, if you have a winning record, you end up in a bowl game, and I think that also has just made it less enticing for the players. On top of the NIL, on top of if you are a top 20 program, missing the playoffs is kind of. It just doesn't have the same sort of consolation prize feel. And then on top of that, look at Florida State a year or two ago. They, they lost a quarterback going into the playoff, or what would have been the playoff, and got left out. And then they just stunk it up in the bowl game. Probably just weren't engaged, and also just the injuries they had and everything else. But I guess it's simply with that. You've just kind of have this combination of a lot of factors that make the bowl games, I think, just less appealing to the players, but at the same time, I think for fans it's always been kind of a fun thing, and for a lot of fans who like to travel, it was a good excuse to go somewhere, especially if it was
like
more
maybe
southern.
A chance to see a team that you wouldn't normally get the chance to see. So like what Notre Dame did is they just pulled out. They were like, we're not going to play any bowl games.
Yeah, just simply that. And other teams have opted out too, but Notre Dame was just the most notable because they clearly were upset by not being selected, but they are also upset because the ACC didn't advocate for them, which they're a partial member of the, like, Notre Dame is an independent team. They're not in any conference, but they do have an agreement with the ACC to play 5 games with them each year. It's good for the ACC, and it gives some sort of normalcy to Notre Dame's schedule.
Okay.
Like,
put a pin in that, and we'll talk about college conferences, because that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Like, the NFL has 2. I can follow that.
I'll be ready for you next time on that one.
Okay. So the long and short of it is Notre Dame is throwing a hissy fit.
Throwing a hissy fit, and also we're at an inflection point, I think, for a lot of teams in bowls, especially the top tier teams like Notre Dame. They're not going to be the only one, I think, that ends up in a position like this in the years to come. I don't like it, but I also sort of get it.
So what do you anticipate the, like, maybe long-term ramifications of this is? Like, are we going to end up seeing fewer bowl games a year, or are we going to see more teams that don't normally get bowl games in bowl games? Like, is this going to open more doors or start closing some?
I almost think it will.
Or is it too early to tell?
I think it's too early to tell, but I think it could close some, because if you don't get some of those top tier teams, like essentially the college football playoff is like the top 12 teams or whatever. But right. if let's just say 13 through 20,
and how many teams are there in like
120 some, maybe 130.
Okay. Because I know there's like the Big 12 and the this many over here and the whatevers, but like Division 1.
Yeah, basically.
But there's like 120 in Division 1.
Yeah, and basically half the teams now make the bowls because ESPN wanted programming, so that's why there's so many bowl games. And that's the only reason I'm not sure that if they'll go away, because as long as they can get teams to participate, ESPN is going to throw games on TV, because, I mean, people are going to generally watch some of these bowl games because why not? It's a football game.
And I'm sure there are players and programs that like want that opportunity to be seen because maybe they don't get a chance to be seen in the regular season so much, but like maybe there's like a similar story to Tyson, like somebody out of school that doesn't get that much attention gets to be in a bowl game, gets some attention, and makes it to the NFL when maybe he wouldn't normally have had that opportunity or something. So like I get why some might like there being so many bowl games, but I can also see not liking that there are so many. So I don't have an opinion in this situation. I'm just fascinated. I'm eager to see what happens. All right. Okay, my turn. All right, so several weeks ago, like this was on my list to research for a while, and then I forgot about it, and then I would remember it when I didn't have time to research. But it was back several weeks ago when the Steelers were wearing just those god-awful throwback uniforms. Not the Bumblebee uniforms, I really like those, but they're different ones that are kind of similar. But I was noticing these, like, slip covers over their helmets, and it made sense at the time because I was like, oh, okay, it's to make it look like, you know, these throwback helmets. Like, it's to make them look like helmets used to. And then I started noticing them in regular games, and I was like, maybe I should have noticed before that they are, like, significantly larger and shaped a bit differently than regular football helmets. So what are these? And the answer is they're called Guardian caps, and they are theoretically meant to absorb extra shock, to, like, you know, to further prevent any cranial damage, more so than a regular helmet was. The research is kind of inconclusive. Like, the NFL's research says, yeah, these are great and they super duper help, but independent research says, it doesn't really seem to affect it either way. One thing that it does seem to affect is, like, temperature. The pad doesn't conduct heat as much as the, you know, like the polycarbonate or whatever it is, like the hard helmet does. So it acts as kind of an insulator. And honestly, if it does nothing beyond that, I think it's a good idea, because I don't want someone keeling over of heat stroke just from playing a game. But so they don't seem to be like that significant of a help, but I am very much in favor of trying anything we can to keep players safer. So I'm curious to see, like, if more research comes out about these. Like, the biggest issue is some players didn't like their aesthetics because they are kind of weird looking. And that's why there's, like, these slip covers that go over them, because they are kind of, like, bumpy and shaped weird. So you put the cover over it so that it can still have, like, the logo of your team and everything.
I have to imagine they have some positive effect, but at the same time,
I am just noticing that you, like, wrote a whole answer to the thing that I was going to be telling everyone.
Yeah. Oh no,
I appreciate you, even if you don't understand what I'm going for.
I always just try to contribute, but I have to imagine they help in some ways. Like, I just imagine more padding does prevent some concussions, but I think the problem is, too, we know that with concussions, or at least with some of the brain damage that comes from playing football, is it's not always the big hits, it's a lot of the small ones, too. So,
yeah.
I mean, let's just see where the data takes us eventually, but, yeah, the problem is, in general, is football at this level is car wrecks. Like, there's just no other way about it. The guys are too big and too fast to avoid certain things. But, I mean, it's worth trying. It's definitely worth trying, because why not at least try to be a little safer?
Yeah, if it reduces concussions, if it reduces CTE by even, like, a couple of percentage points, like, I am more than happy to see these become, like, standardized equipment. They were recently, like, they were required for certain player positions and now are allowed for anyone who wants them, but they're not required for everybody.
Yep.
And they're also used in, like, Canadian football, and a lot of college programs are using them, and also they get used a lot in hockey, apparently.
I'd say, I think if they can work on the aesthetics, players will adopt them more. But yeah, they just kind of look like, almost some of the. I just remember some of the cheat codes on old games where, like, you could have big head mode, and it kind of looks like that.
I forget which player it was, but they quoted a player saying that you kind of feel like a bobblehead, like you're gonna fall over, because it like you can feel that it is more on your head.
I can imagine,
it's probably not that heavy, but you know what I mean? Like, it's foam. I can't imagine it's terribly heavy.
Yeah, I imagine it just feels different. If you've been used to wearing a regular helmet, for so long, it's going to be noticeable.
All right. So, Ben.
Yes.
Tell me, what the fuck is a seed?
Well, that's
and
how
does
make
it
plants.
Work?
That's how you grow a garden.
When the Bears were briefly the number 1 seed, I understood that was a good thing, but I don't understand what it means.
It's just simply for the playoffs and everything. The best record gets you the top seed and on down, and there are tiebreakers for head-to-head. If the teams have the same record and they've tied or they've played head-to-head, that result will put one team ahead of the other. It gets complicated, but essentially, it's just whoever has the best record gets the top seed, and 1 through wherever. And most importantly, for the NFL playoffs, if you're the top seed, you get a first round bye, which is one less chance to lose. Get knocked out of the playoffs. So it's just as simple as, if one team is 10-3, or at the end of the season, if one team is 10-7 and another team is 9-8 or whatever, the team with a better seed is going to have a better spot in the playoff or make the playoffs over a team with a lesser record. And like I said, just if you have the top record in your conference, that will get you a first round bye.
All right.
Ain't no lie, baby. Bye, bye, bye.
Ha.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. Now to the thing I am most excited to talk about in this episode.
And this is all you. Let her rip.
It is all me.
Let
Okay.
her rip.
So, at some point this season, I was watching a game in which the Browns were one of the teams, and I saw this weird little elf thing dancing on the sidelines, and I fell in love with him, and I needed to know more. Do I care about the Browns as a team? Not at all. But I love this weird little guy. I'm basically just going to be relaying an article on ESPN by Jake Trotter. So I will link it here because he is a better writer than I am going to be saying. But I hope my color commentary is entertaining. I also had to rein myself in. Go ahead.
I may interject at a few points, but this is your baby.
It is. I'm very excited. I did have to rein myself in because this very easily could have turned into like a comprehensive history of the Cleveland Browns and by extension the Cincinnati Bengals. And while I have joked about doing a whole history of the entire NFL, it is not happening tonight. It will probably be a many segmented thing. Okay. So, first, some background. The Brownie is an elf from Old British folklore, with the first known reference to them being from 1522. They would do, like, housework and chores and stuff in exchange for living in your house. If you remember the old fairy tale about the shoemaker and the elves, where, like, the shoemaker would go to sleep and he would wake up to shoes being completed, the elves were the ones that did it. These are the guys that they're talking about. They despise being spied on, and they hate both compliments and criticism, and boy, do I relate to that. They also see gifts of clothing as an insult. And if that sounds familiar, that is because the Mold Queen of Turf Island drew on the brownies in creating the house elves in Harry Potter. So, no one is totally positive how Brownie, the mascot, originated, but here's what we do know. In 1929, the Atlas Beverage Company starts producing a caramel cream root beer that they called Brownie, and it has a little elf logo on it. Side note, it still exists. And I thought the logo wasn't an elf anymore, but then I saw a bigger picture, and it's just a different elf picture than it used to be. It sounds delicious, and I am adding it to my Amazon wish list if you want Ben and I to do some sort of content involving this beverage. Eventually, an ad for this soda is painted on the side of a building in Massillon, Ohio, where Paul Brown is a very winning coach of the local high school football team. His last season there is in 1940. And in that last season, he commissions a local artist by the name of A.D. Small to create a logo for their team, which is the Tigers. The new logo was called Obi, which is a combination of the school's colors, which are orange and black. Very creative. So Paul Brown has to stop...
I was just going to say, I'm going to guess that's why Auburn's mascot it might be named the same, but continue.
So Paul Brown has to stop coaching football for a while because there's a war on. He serves in the Navy during the big Dub Dose. And after that, he is hired to coach Cleveland's brand new professional football team. The owner of that team at the time, Mickey McBride, he holds this contest for fans to name the team, like what are they going to be called? And the winning submission was the Browns in honor of their first ever coach. And, like, Paul Brown doesn't love this idea and he pushes against it, but he relents after a while. After it turns out the other choice, the Panthers, wouldn't work because someone else owned the rights to Cleveland Panthers. Yes, Ben. He has raised his hand.
I was just going to say, this is actually a little bit more common for that era. The Chicago Bears were first known as the A.E. Staleys, the Decatur Staleys, named after A.E. Staley, the guy who first founded them. It wasn't until they moved to Chicago and were playing at Wrigley Field that they became the Chicago Bears under George Halas. But naming the team after the guy who either owned it or I guess was a major figure like Brown was. It's not that weird for the era, but at the same time, yeah, it's very weird to think of, and here come the Dallas Jerry Joneses, you know. The Washington Josh Smith.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, it like, I'm glad we got away from that.
Washington Smiths isn't that weird. The Washington Smith just sounds like a guy's name.
Yes. But yeah, it's of its era, yeah, although it does kind of lend itself to some comedy one way or the other in this case, because continue your story.
Yeah, okay. So we have the newly named Cleveland Browns, and now they need a logo, but like what is a brown? What is a brown? According to Barry Shuck.
Oh, I know.
Go ahead.
It's what our racist relatives refer to some people.
Oh. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Anyway, according to Barry Shuck, who is a writer and like Browns franchise historian, which like, can I get that job? Like, can I become a Washington Commanders historian? That sounds like so much fun. And that's not a joke. I am a nosy bitch who loves to find out, which is the number one quality needed in a researcher. But anyway, according to Barry Shuck, the elf logo we wind up with is basically just that Obi logo, but turned into an elf, because they are in exactly the same position. Like, they're holding a ball the same way, they're both wearing a hat, they're both holding their other arm out in the same way, which is like a pretty common like football pose, but like they're very similar logos. Like, if you did that like video game thing of just like identifying the joints and bones, it's the same. But so according to this writer, it's basically the same logo, and it is pretty widely suspected / accepted that it was inspired by that root beer ad, because living in that town, he would have seen that ad all the time and probably got an idea, probably was familiar with like the folklore version of the brownies and connected some dots, but we don't actually know. So Steve King, who was another writer and also worked for the Browns for a while, he once even asked Paul Brown's son Mike if he knew the story of how we got Brownie, and Mike didn't know, so King came to more or less the same conclusion that Barry Shuck did. So while they're still pre-NFL, there was an equipment manager named Tommy Flynn who would dress up as Brownie and would like ape Paul Brown's actions, and it is an absolute crime that stopped when they joined the NFL, because it would be so funny if instead of a fursuit they were kind of like the Mountaineers, or like the WVU Mountaineers, or a couple of other teams that I can't think of right now, who instead of a mascot just have like a guy in a costume. Like, back when the Commanders still had the racist name, they did that, and it was just like this black guy who wore a war bonnet, and it like, he was funny, but also that whole thing was deeply problematic for obvious reasons. But I kind of love a mascot that's just a guy. Another absolute crime is that in 1950, Paul Brown asks trainer Leo Murphy to put Brownie on the helmet, which, for anyone who doesn't know, the Browns are kind of unique in that they don't have a logo on their helmet. Their helmet is just solid orange with a brown stripe, and I think there might also be white on that stripe or something. And the only changes that have ever actually been made to that is like the specific Pantone shades of those colors. But Murphy puts Brownie on the helmet, and Paul Brown hates how it looks. Murphy kept that helmet, that one helmet that was made, until he died in 2018, and no one is totally sure where that helmet is now. I assume someone in Murphy's family has it. I need to see this helmet. I need to own a replica. I need them to have fake throwback uniforms that use this helmet with the Brownie logo on the helmet. But then the biggest crime is in 1961, the team is bought by Art Modell, and he says, On the record, and I quote, "My first official act as owner of the Browns will be to get rid of that little fucker." And then in 1995, he relocates the Browns to Baltimore, and I always forget how, like, the Ravens are such a relatively new franchise. like, but 4 years later, Al Lerner buys the Browns and takes them back to Cleveland. During those Brownie-less years, there was a newspaper cartoonist in the Cleveland area who kept using the elf to represent the team. So Brownie never really went away. He just wasn't used as officially anymore. And then slowly he started to reappear officially. First, he was the official training camp logo in 2016. And then in 2015, we get the sideline mascot that I fell in love with. You can see head coach Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, we're going to ask me to pronounce things.
Point taken. He often wears a hat that has the Brownie logo on it. And then in 2024, finally, a big-ass Brownie the Elf logo is emblazoned on their field. But there's more! So Brownie the Elf has a bestie, and his name is Chomps.
Of course.
So Chomps is a dog mascot, also, like, a fursuit. And so, like, during all of that time where we weren't using Brownie, there is a section of the stadium, of the Browns stadium, both their old stadium and the one they use now, that is called the Dog Pound. There is a player who I forgot to write down who, like, takes credit for calling them that. So, like, dogs became kind of a thing associated with the Browns in the same way that hogs are associated with, the Commanders, even though, like, at first glance, Commanders and pigs doesn't make sense, but when you know the lore, it makes sense. So that's how we get this dog logo, and then they start using a dog mascot. And now we have both Brownie and Chomps. Chomps' full name is Chomps Swagger Jr., which comes from, there was a real dog named Swagger who I didn't know about until I read an article about how he died a couple of years ago. They used a real dog, and he was a bull mastiff, and, like, mastiffs are my favorite kind of dog. My mom has 2 of them, and I love them more than most people. So, like, I like, fell in love with this dog, like, posthumously, and that dog's name was Swagger, and he was, like, the official live mascot of the team, and now his son, Swagger Jr., is the official live mascot. So technically the Browns kind of have 3 mascots. They have Brownie, Chomps, and this real dog named Swagger Jr. And I love all 3 of them. Brownie has his own TikTok account. And I don't mean, like, the Browns team TikTok. I mean Brownie's TikTok, his own. And it's cute. And I love him. Ben's raising his hand again.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's funny, like, so Washington, I guess, is just kind of a weird, like, offshoot. I don't know, whatever you want to say it. Whereas the Browns, it's more of the absence of a mascot has kind of created this void where, you know, the Dog Pound came in and things like that. I think it's just funny for both how these things have become unofficial, official mascots one way or the other. But that also just a reminder that sometimes, like, give yourself a mascot or this happens. Like, you've now lost control. Like,
sports is weird sometimes, man.
I will say, I thought Washington should have actually kept with the Washington football team. Like, I just think it would have been kind of interesting.
I was literally just saying that today.
Like, because I think
I think Washington football team is a better name than Commanders.
Because I think it's just kind of interesting enough. And plus, it would have made more sense for Daniel Snyder to kind of, as an FU to the league, to not have a mascot. Like, not that I'd be in support of that, but that would have been the best way to sell it to him, would just be like, yeah, we're just going to be the Washington football team. And, you know, we'll, you know, maybe do the pig mascot as, like, the kid-friendly mascot because like the Pacers have a cat as their kind of fuzzy mascot, but they're the Pacers. No one thinks of Boomer the cat as their mascot, but I think you could add that situation. I just think, I mean, it's kind of a call to the European football clubs because like it's just Arsenal or Liverpool. There's very few clubs that really are closely associated with a mascot, even if they have one.
Yeah, so like, and now after becoming the Commanders, their official mascot, like in the fursuit and everything, is a pig, and I forget his name. It's like Tuggy or something.
Yeah, Tuddy.
Tuddy. There we go. And it's stupid, and I love it. The only other team I could think of that I know has like two mascots, I couldn't think of another one in the NFL, but Nebraska has like Herbie the Husker and also Lil Red.
Yeah.
And they're both just two guys in overalls, but like one's a little kid.
Auburn has they're the Auburn Tigers, but there's also I mean like they have the eagle that flies in during the games, and like War Eagle is a big part of the culture with Auburn and all that. I don't know if that's quite the same, but yeah, like there's only a few teams I can think of that have like these mascots and junior mascot, like this.
Yeah.
Like whether it's a mascot or just even it's just. I mean, I'm fine with as many mascots as possible.
Yeah, no, I love them. Like the next edition of this, like there's a few directions I could go. Like I could start talking about other mascots, or I could start talking about like the other brown stuff that I had to leave out of this one. So we'll see. Like I think the way I build up to this comprehensive history of the NFL, I keep threatening, is we're just like gonna do little pieces at a time, and eventually I'll stitch them all together.
I do need to tell a very quick story before we get out of here. I was the Shepherd mascot for a basketball game.
Oh yeah, just one.
But kind of, the funny part to me was. I worked at the Martinsburg Journal part-time, so obviously I knew all our staff and all that. So the funny part was for this game, I'm obviously just being the mascot. I'm not working it. I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was our photographer for that game. And because he could, especially because he didn't know it was me in there, I kind of harassed him during breaks and all that occasionally. But the funny part of this was, at least for me, a week or so later, me, Brandon Brown, and Rick Kozlowski are in the press box covering a Martinsburg playoff game, I believe. Quite simply, our photographer, I wish I could remember his name, it's just been a while, but the photographer guy comes in there, and I forget if Kaz set him up or anything, but it was just something where he was like, everyone else in the press box knew I had been the Ram except for him, and he just comes in and was like, yeah, at the game the other day, just the mascot was just bothering, like he just he swore a little bit too and all that, but like he's complaining adamantly about the mascot at the game. And Kaz has a personality where he can kind of get away with like laughing during this and not be obvious that he knows what's going on. But me and Brandon Brown are just staring at our screens, smirking and laughing, trying not to give away, it was me in there. And I think eventually we told him, but it was very funny to just get a unfiltered, I can't believe this guy, just reaction to it.
Amazing. Shepherd also had like the suit mascot and like a real yep. Ram. When we were there, his name was Livingston.
And then I think it was Van.
I haven't kept up with the lineage of the Rams, but
yes.
I just thought Livingston was a great name for a Ram.
It is. We'll get a flow chart one day of the Ram oral history or whatnot of Shepherd University.
All right. Okay. Lastly, in honor of our next bonus episode, which we announced like a month ago and haven't recorded yet, we are going to be watching the movie Safety, which is about Ray McElrath Bay. So I recently, like, realized that there is, like, safety, the position, like, the player position, but you can also score a safety. Explain. Safety
Wait.
the guy versus safety the play.
Well, I can't tell you why they're named. I forgot to do the research ahead of this. But, I mean, yeah, the safety, I think it's just essentially named because he's the furthest guy back, or if you're playing two safeties, you know, you have, they're the two furthest guys back. Their job is essentially to, you know, keep everything in front of them. But a safety, as far as the score, is just if you tackle the ball carrier in the end zone, it's 2 points, and you also get the ball kicked to you. It's as simple as that. Why either is named safety? I guess the position makes a little bit more sense, but I'm not sure why the play call is, or the defensive scoring way of scoring is called a safety as well.
So there's 3 types of safety?
It depends. What's the third one you're reading?
Okay, clearly. Oh, well, it sounded like you were saying there was a third kind.
Oh, no.
Was...
Oh, I thought you read something because you were looking at your phone. No, just
oh,
as
no.
far.
Sorry.
The only thing is, if you're playing two safeties, you have a free safety and a strong safety, and really it's just the top 2 guys in the defensive secondary. And traditionally, the strong safety was a little bit more of the more physical guy that maybe would play a little bit more of a linebacker type role, and the free safety was a lot more likely to be in coverage. But obviously, with more passing in the modern football game, that's not as true as it used to be. It just, I mean, there's still single high defenses and all that, but usually you have 2 guys back there in the safety role, one way or the other.
Okay. So we'll revisit this question again
Yes.
after you've done your research.
I will do better next time.
All right. All right. So that is going to kind of do it for us, unless, Ben, you have any additional thoughts.
No, I would say I think we'll get a little bit better idea, obviously, in the next week or so as the playoff picture starts to crystallize a little bit more. And I have some ideas for our next episode, but yeah, I think just simply even finishing out this week and seeing who's in, who's out, and all that, it'll make it a little bit easier to start honing down on what's what with the season instead of, I don't know, maybe if the Colts are going to make it, maybe they won't. Who knows?
Okay. Well, in that case, that is going to wrap it up for us. You can find us on a couple of socials that I will link in the description. Please consider contributing to our Patreon, because shit's bad, guys. Like, things have been rough for both of us, but especially for your girl here. You can find all the explanations there on my Patreon, like, in the posts that are free to read, so, like, you can see what's going on without, you don't have to pay just to know what's going on. I am reconfiguring some of the tiers so that, like, all paid levels get access to the bonus episodes, and then I'll, like, rejigger some stuff for the higher tiers so that, like, it's still worth it to pay more than $1. But I looked at some other people's Patreons and decided, like, $1 is enough to just get access to the bonus episodes. So that's it. We will see you again soon, and in theory, the next thing we record will be the next bonus episode.
Can you safely assume that?
Goodbye. Bye, everybody.